What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. A little bit of a change of scenery, but I think it'll be worth it. Today, I'm gonna teach you how to buy your first bow. All right, like I said, you just walked into a shop. Maybe it's your first time ever being in a bow shop. You're about to buy your first bow, or maybe you haven't bought a bow in years, so things are a little different. You're not really sure what to expect. We're gonna try to touch on that right now. There's a few options there. You can buy what's called a package bow or a ready to hunt bow. Anytime you hear that, more than most likely, that bow is gonna have an arrow rest on it. It's gonna come with a sight of some sort, a quiver, some sort of little stabilizer, and the bow itself. The other side of the house would be a bow that you build out, each accessory on its own. So a lot of your higher end bows, you start getting into those flagship lineups and things tier right below that, is gonna be just a bare bow with no accessories. From shop to shop, some places will build little packages for it, but typically a flagship bow is gonna be the bare bow. From there, you're gonna have to know what arrow rest you want, or talk with the guys at the shop to get some good recommendations, what bow sight, what quiver, the list of accessories goes on and on. So you have two options: buy a ready to hunt bow, and if you are new to shooting altogether, don't have a big budget, and just otherwise don't really know what you're looking for, that is a great place to start. There's a lot of good reputable companies making package or ready to hunt bows that are great. If you're looking to hunt with them, they'll absolutely hammer some animals. If you're just looking to shoot in your backyard, they'll do that great too. If you're on the other side, have a little bit of an idea of what you're looking for and are willing to spend the extra money, getting into a flagship bow or some mid-price bow that you can piece out or build out with the sight that you want, the arrow rest that you want, etc., is always a good option. Just know typically when you go that route, it will be more expensive. You're building the bow a la carte versus ready to hunt. Have a little bit of an idea, maybe do some basic Google searches to get a general idea of what things cost in the archery industry. Don't base it off of Amazon bows. You can buy a bow on Amazon for $200. That is not accurate to what they actually cost in the real market. So anywhere from $300 to $400 to $4,000 or $5,000 if you get extremely high end, and you can be anywhere in between there. So have a general idea of what you want to spend, and if it's reasonable and you're at a good reputable shop, they're going to help to keep you into that price point. If you've got a $500 budget, there's a way to make it happen. If you've got a $5,000 budget, there's multiple ways to make that happen. All right, so you've got a bow in front of you that fits your budget. What comes next? You're gonna have to have that bow adjusted to the proper draw length that fits you, a draw weight that is comfortable for you to draw. You're gonna have to make an adjustment to the rear peep sight to line up with the front sight and also to fit your face's shape. All that can be done and should be done at the shop. If you're at a shop that is not doing any of those things, if they just take a bow off the rack and hand it to you and send you out the door, give them the bow back and find a different shop. You need to be at a place that's gonna set the bow up with you. You're gonna find the draw length. There's a couple ways to do that. The most common you're gonna hear is take a measurement from fingertip to fingertip across your back and divide that number by 2.5. That's gonna give you a ballpark on a draw length range. It is not exact, so do not go in married to that number. Bows change from manufacturer to manufacturer as to what their draw lengths truly read. So the shop is gonna help to make sure that bow fits you the best. There's another way, which is the way we prefer to do it if you ever come here and see us. That's gonna be putting the bow physically in your hand, having you draw the bow back and looking for markers in your form that dictate where that bow should fit you. We can talk you through all of that. To me, that's a way more accurate way to do it because certain people have physical limitations that don't allow the generic measurement to work. So getting a bow in your hand with a shop that knows what they're doing and can point you in the right direction with some reasonably decent form and a couple anchor points and, like I said, physical markers on how the bow fits to get you into that right number. From there, draw weight will come. That's fairly simple. You're either gonna be able to draw the bow back or you won't, and the weight will need to be adjusted accordingly. Once again, that's something that the shop's gonna be able to do for you. Once you've got a draw length figured out and the shop's got a draw weight that's comfortable for you, the next thing that comes in line is peep sight position. If you've already got a front sight mounted on your bow, we'll assume for sake of this conversation that you do. You're gonna have to draw the bow back and adjust that rear peep sight that you look through to line up for your eye, your face, and the front sight. I cannot stress this next part enough. If you're at a shop and they do not let you draw the bow back and set the peep sight to your face, do not deal with them. it is different from shooter to shooter. Me and my handy dandy cameraman can shoot very close to the same anchor point in the same peep position, but they are not exactly the same. So if you're at a shop and they say, oh, well, that's close enough for me and you are about the same size, that is not good. You would rather it be specific to you. Even if you're a new shooter, it may take a little bit of time to get it dialed in, but it can be done. From there, you've got your draw length adjusted, your draw weight spin set, and now your peep sight is lined up to you and your body. Next thing in the general line of things would be tuning the bow. So there's a couple schools of thought on this. Me personally, I'm rarely ever gonna let a first-time shooter paper tune their own bow. And it's no offense to anybody, you guys can come for me in the comments, but most new shooters do not have consistent enough form to tune, to paper tune a bow. You have to be able to do the same thing over and over again to get a repeatable tear, or the guy behind the counter working on the bow is gonna be chasing his tail a lot. So if it's a new shooter, don't be offended if the guy at the shop tunes it just as a starting point. But with that being said, what I always like to say to anybody that I'm selling a bow to, if I paper tune your bow or someone else paper tunes your bow, the moment you start shooting and getting consistent where you can keep some tighter groups and get some repeatable shots, come back in and let the shop tune the bow around you. Because at that point, you've built enough consistency, you should be able to generally tune a bow with some assistance. And to finish it off with paper tuning, low poundage bows don't typically get paper tuned. And what I mean by that is if I've got a 20-pound compound or a 25-pound or maybe even a 30-pound, sometimes those bows can be really finicky to tune because they're on the lower end of tension in the entire system. So if your 12-year-old is pulling 22 pounds and the shop didn't paper tune their bow, it's okay. When they get a little bit more draw weight and a little more capable, the bow may need to be tuned then, and that's all right. It can be done after the fact. All right, we just touched on paper tuning, so we kind of glazed over the bow setup. We hit the high points, and that was intentional. I'm not going super in depth on any of that. We're gonna talk draw length, draw weight, peep position, make sure the bow's paper tuned and set up for you, etc. From there, you're gonna look at arrows. The shop should help you, especially if you're a new shooter, find the right arrow for your setup. Arrow spine, just to keep that very generic, because this is a very in-depth topic, arrow spine is gonna be dictated by the length of the arrow, the amount of weight that's on the bow. So if you got a 70-pound bow, you're shooting 28.5 inches on the draw length, you're on average gonna be in a 340, 350 arrow spine. So if those are numbers that you're not familiar with being a new shooter, the shop, if they're a good shop, a reputable shop, is gonna help get you into the arrow that you need, that's gonna be safe and also perform the best for you. So a list of things that you're gonna need if you plan on buying a bow and piecing it out yourself. Or even if you buy a ready to hunt or package bow, there's a few of these things that do not come with it that you'll still need. We're gonna start with the bow. You need a bow. From there, you need an arrow rest. That's where your arrow sits on the bow. You need a sight to be able to aim the bow. And you also need a trigger release of some sort to draw the bow back and fire it. That could be a wrist strap style that goes around your wrist and you use your index finger, or also starting to be a lot more common to see guys and gals want to shoot a handheld or a thumb button style release that you hold in your hand. Last thing you would need would be some arrows to shoot out of the bow, because shooting a bow without arrows is not fun. You can ask anybody that's done it. And also a target to shoot those arrows at. That's pretty much everything to get you a basic starting point and at least get you shooting some arrows in the backyard. All right, guys, so it's pretty short, sweet, and to the point. That's gonna just about wrap this one up. Kept it very basic. If there's any part of that video that you want a more in-depth, I guess, review or my thoughts on, just leave a comment below. I'll see if I can make a video directed specifically at that, and we'll go from there. I'll see you guys next time.